We continue now at the top of Daf Kufta Zayin Amid Beis Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 116b. The Gemara is in the middle of discussing a story with Ima Shalom, who is the wife of Rabbi Eliezer, and she came across a particular min, a particular heretic who said that he was a judge and he did not take bribes. And that's what the Gemara says here. To have a shakel shma de lo makabel shochta. He had a reputation that he wouldn't take bribes. Bo la chuchebe. So they wanted to basically make fun of him. So what she did was she brought him a golden candle, and she came in front of him. She said to him, she said, I want to inherit in my father's estate together with my brothers. So when he took the bribe, he accepted the bribe, and he said, okay, you can have a share in the inheritance of your father. So she said to him, Ksivlon, doesn't it say, B'makom bra bartaloteris? Doesn't it say in our Torah that if there's a son, the daughter does not inherit? So why are you saying that I can do this? Amar La, so he said to her, Min yoma degalison me'arachon, from the day that you were exiled from your land, it's not lisoraisa de Moshe, the Torah of Moshe has been taken, v'siyehivas sifra achrisi, another sefer has been given, uchsiv bey, and in this new sefer it says, bro ubrata kechoda yirsun, that son and daughter can inherit together, so you're fine, and he told her that she can inherit together with her brothers. Now the next day, so her brother, who was Rebbe Gamliel, so he brought a donkey, a luva donkey, also as a bribe. Amar Lahu, he said to him, Shvelas l'sefer de sifra. He said, okay, you know what, she can't inherit. Look at the end of the sefer. It says, it says, Ana lo lemifchas min oraisa de Moshe asisi. I have not come to take away from the Torah of Moshe. V'lo la'asufei al oraisa de Moshe asisi. I haven't come to add on the Torah of Moshe. Uchsiv bey, and what does it say in the Torah? It says, b'makom bra barta lo teres. In the place of a son, a daughter should not inherit. So suddenly, when he got a new bribe, the second bribe outweighed the first bribe, and he said that she couldn't inherit. Amrulay, so she said to him, your light shines like a candle. That's an allusion to the bribe, the candle, the golden candle that she gave as a bribe. Amrulay Rebbe Gamliel, and Rebbe Gamliel said to him, Asachamra ubatash l'sharga. The donkey came and kicked over the candle, meaning my bribe was better than your bribe, and this was all really just to mock this particular min, to show that really he does take bribes. And the Gemara continues, quotes the Mishnah, Mipnei ma ein koren v'chulu. The Mishnah said, why can't we read Ksuvim on Shabbos? Because it's mevatel from people from going to the drasha. There was a drasha given on Shabbos where people could learn more important things than Ksuvim, so we didn't want them to skip the drasha in order to learn Ksuvim. So the Gemara now is going to bring a machlokas between Rav and Shmuel. Amar Rav says, Lo shanu ala bizman beis hamedrash. A person's only not allowed to learn Ksuvim at the time of the beis medrash. Aval shalo bizman beis hamedrash, but if it's not the time of the beis medrash, we'll see Rashi, Koren, then you are allowed to read Ksuvim. Rav is lenient. Shmuel Amar Shmuel says, Afilo shalo bizman beis hamedrash, ein koren. Even not during the time of the beis medrash, at all times, essentially, you're not allowed to read from Ksuvim. Rashi here explains, Bizman Beis HaMedrash, what was the time of the Beis HaMedrash? That's Kodem Achila. Before they would eat on Shabbos, Hayu Darshim, that's when the drasha would take place. Shalo Bizman Beis HaMedrash, and when it's not during the time, La'achar Achila, that refers to after they ate, Lo Darshim Mishum Shichros. At that time, people would already be drunk, so they wouldn't give the drasha at that time. So that's basically the machlokas, Rav and Shmuel. Rav says Shalo Bizman, meaning after the time of eating, already you can read from the Ksuvim, and Shmuel says it's a problem even then. The Gemara first asks a contradiction within Shmuel. Ini, is that really true that Shmuel said this? V'hanahardoi asri de Shmuel have it, but Nahardoi was the area where Shmuel was from. Uv'nahardoi paski sidra b'ksuvim b'minchasa de shapsa. And in Nahardoi, Rashi explains, paski sidra b'ksuvim hayu regilim likro b'beis hamedrash parsha b'ksuvim. It was a regular custom to read in the beis medrash the parsha ksuvim. So they used to do it. So apparently Shmuel holds it is okay. So the Gemara says, you're right, you have to adjust what this machlokas really is. If there was a machlokas between Rav and Shmuel, the machlokas is actually as follows. Amar Rav lo shanu ela b'makom beis hamedrash. Rav, it doesn't say the words bizman beis hamedrash, but b'makom beis hamedrash. Rashi says b'makom beis hamedrash, meaning sha'achacham doresh dahainu b'beis hamedrash, in the beis medrash, in the area where the chacham is doresh, then you can't learn ksuvim. Aval bial makorin, but in other places you can learn from ksuvim. U'shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says bein b'makom beis hamedrash, bein shelo b'makom beis hamedrash. He says it doesn't matter where you are, what matters is the time. Bizman beis hamedrash ein koren. Whether you're in the beis medrash or not in the beis medrash, during the time of the shir, you cannot read from ksuvim. Shelo bizman beis hamedrash koren. But if it's not the time of the shir, then you could. So Shmuel's really saying it goes by the time, and Rav says no, it has nothing to do with that. Rav says even if it's not nothing to do with it, but even if it's during the time of the shir, it's still okay to read ksuvim according to Rav, as long as you're not in the beis medrash proper, as long as you're not in that location. Shmuel says it goes by the time. As long as the shir is being given, it doesn't matter where you are, you're not allowed to do it at all. Rashi over here says, Bein v'makom beis hamedrash bizman beis hamedrash ein koren lefisha mevad lo milei lechetz l'adorish. Shmuel has a very simple logic. If it's during that time, even if you learn somewhere else in a different location, you're still not going to go to the shir. Aval shelo bizman beis hamedrash. But if it's not the time, kagon lachar achila koren. Even Shmuel would admit that if it's not the time of the shir, it's no problem. And so that explains what happened in Nahar Doi. That in Nahar Doi they would be able to read when it wasn't the time of the drasha. Ve'az Shmuel l'taime, and Shmuel follows his reasoning. Nahar Doi paske siddur d'chsuvim ben chassid shabsa. That in Nahar Doi, when it wasn't the time of the shir, they would actually learn ksuvim and it would not be any problem at all. So that's the answer for how we could explain this apparent contradiction in Shmuel. But Rav Ashi gives a different answer. Rav Ashi Amar Liolam Keda Amar Meikar. Rav Ashi says really you can go with our original answer. Ushmuel ke Rabbi Nechemya, but Shmuel actually holds like Rabbi Nechemya. Rashi here explains, Rabbi Nechemya Amro Lamilse. Really, Shmuel, well, I should actually go back one Rashi. Shmuel de Amar La'el. Shmuel, who said before, Afila la'achar achila ein koren. We're going to go with like what we said before, Rav Ashi saying. Rav Ashi saying that really Shmuel holds, even after achila you can't read. So why did he say that? Because he holds Rabbi Nechemya Amar Lamilse. He follows Rabbi Nechemya, the less late time of the ein koren misham bittul. Rabbi Nechemya holds the reason why we don't read from ksuvim has nothing to do with bittul of the shir. It doesn't have to do with the fact that you're going to miss the drasha that's made in public. It's a different reason. We're going to see this in a moment. But Rabbi Nechemya says the reason why you don't learn from ksuvim is that way people say, oh, if I can't learn from ksuvim, I certainly can't be doing even lesser things than ksuvim, like reading shtaros, documents that are made by hedyotos, nothing to do with Torah. So that's the real reason according to Rabbi Nechemya. So that obviously would apply the entire Shabbos, has nothing to do with the shir. Umiu Shmuel hinig b'mekomo kedivrei chachamim. Rashi explains that Shmuel, so why in Nahar Doi did they learn from ksuvim? Because in Shmuel's makom they didn't follow Reb Nechemya, they actually followed the chachamim, the masnisin of our Mishnah, the Amri Taima Mishum Bittul Torah. That the reason is because of Bittul Torah, Hilkach Lachar Achila, the like a drasha korn. So that's why, so in other words, Shmuel said in Nahar Doi, it's fine if you want to follow the chachamim, but I personally hold like the opinion of Reb Nechemya, and the Gemara here quotes from Nechemya, the Tanya we learned in a Brisa, Afa Pisha Amru Kisvei HaKodesh in Koren Ben, even though in the Kisvei HaKodesh you're not allowed to read from Kisvei HaKodesh on Shabbos, Aval Shonin Bohen, V'Darshan Bohen, this is the Tanakama. Tanakama says even though you're not allowed to read, but you can learn it and Darshan, and Nitzrach LePasuk Mevi V'Roabo, if you need a Pasuk because you're in the middle of a drasha, you can bring Ksuvim, and you can bring Kisvei HaKodesh and look it up. That you can all do. And here's Reb Nechemya. Amar Reb Nechemya says, Mipnei Ma Amru Kisvei HaKodesh in Koren Ben. Why is it that you can't read from Kisvei HaKodesh on Shabbos? Kedei Sheyomru B'Kisvei HaKodesh in Koren V'Kol Shekain B'Shtari Hedyotos. So that way people make a kal v'chomer and say, oh, if I can't read Kisvei HaKodesh, if I'm not allowed to read this, then certainly I will not be allowed to read Shtari Hedyotos, and that's the kal v'chomer that we want people to make. Rashi here says, first of all, Rashi says, Shonin Bohen, the Tanakama, that Bryce said you can learn them, could go in Medrash Shir Ashirim V'Koheles. In other words, it's not a total ban on these Kisvei HaKodesh. The Midrashim of Shir Ashirim and Koheles are fine. And Shtari Hedyotos could go in Shal Cheshbonos, let's say there's calculations, or Igros, Hashluchos, Limtzo Chayfetz, or there's letters that are trying to find things, lost objects, whatever the case may be. We don't want people reading those on Shabbos, so if we ban Kisvei HaKodesh, then the Shtari Hedyotos they won't read either. Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Matzilin Tik HaSefer Im HaSefer. We can save the container of the Sefer Torah, what the Sefer Torah is contained in, together with the Sefer Torah. V'tik HaTfilin Im HaTfilin, and the bag which the Tfilin are in, together with the Tfilin in the fire. You don't need to only save just the Sefer Torah. You can save that which it's in, and the same thing with Tfilin. V'yafal Pishiyesh B'Sochan Mos. And the Chiddush is, even if additionally, besides the Sefer Torah Tfilin, you have money in that container, so that's still okay, even though you're moving around money. Now, to where do we bring these items that we're saving? According to the Tanna Kama, it can only be to an alleyway that's not completely open, so it has less of a status in terms of being a problem of carrying into Rishus Harabim. Ben Beseira, Omer Afla Mefulish. Ben Beseira says you can even bring it to an alleyway that's fully open on both sides. We'll talk about this a little more later, but Ben Beseira is lenient to do even that. Gemara says, Taner Rabbanu, we learned in a Braisa, Arba Asr Shechalios B'Shabbos, if the 14th of Nisan falls out on Shabbos, so that means to say that Erev Pesach is on Shabbos and you need a Shech the Korban Pesach. Mafshiten es ha-Pesach ad hechaze divrei Rabbi Yishmael beno shel Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. So Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, says you can open up the hide, the animal, the Korban Pesach, after you slaughter it. You can only do it up until the chest. Rashi here explains. And what you do is you're opening up to get to the insides of the animal. You're opening up from the back legs ad hechaz until the chest. The idea is you want to take out the emurim shehikter chelvav, because you're going to be burning the emurim, the chelev, on the mizbeach. Dochen Shabbos, and that's Docha Shabbos. V'su lo mafshin midi ad orsa de tzorach hedyeru. But you shouldn't open up the animal any further, because that's not something that's needed for the mizbeach. That's needed for you personally. So that you're not allowed to be for that you can't violate Shabbos. In other words, since Erev Pesach is falling on Shabbos, we're limiting what you can do with this Korban Pesach just to what's absolutely necessary. The Chachamim say mafshit is cool. No, once you're already opening, you can open the whole thing. So the Gemara now brings this in and wants to connect it. First, we're going to say what the machlokas is, but we are going to connect it to our Mishnah. First, the Gemara says, Bishlam Rabbi Yishmael ben Oshel Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. I understand the position of Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, who is strict. Tohayis avid le'tzorech gavo. You've taken care of the tzorech of God, you've taken care of what the Mizbeach needs. And then why should you do more? El Rabbanan my time, but according to the Rabbanan, why should we be so lenient to allow you to be mafshit the entire carbon? Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabba Bar Bar Chana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Kra, because the pasuk says Kol Pol Hashem L'Ma'aneu. Everything that is made for God should be basically to honor God. L'Ma'aneu L'Chvodo, Rashi says it should be for the kavod, for the honor of God. And this is the honorable way to deal with this carbon. Gemara explains that. Why did the Rabbanan say that it's more honorable to completely open it up and not do it halfway? So Rav Yosef Amar Shalo Yasriach. Rav Yosef says the reason is because if you don't do it this way, then the hide that's on the animal will warm it up. It will cause it actually to spoil, and that's not covered to give to put on the shulchan of the king of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, something that's going to spoil. Rava Amar Rava says Shalo Yehu Kadshe Shamayim Mutalim Kenevela. This is Kachim, and if you're going to do it half, it's going to be you're leaving it half done like an Avela. That doesn't look good. So two separate opinions as to why this is the proper covet according to Rabbanan. Now, my Beinayo, the Gemara asks, what's the practical difference between these two answers? Ika Beinayo, there is a following difference. The monach absura dedava. Number one, if you put it onto it, let's say you lay it onto a golden table. So in such a situation, it's really not, Rashi here says, absura dedava she'ena mutal b'bizayin. You put it in a way where it's not a bizayin at all. It's actually very honored. So in that case, you're not going to be worried about the fact that it doesn't look good, like that it looks like an avela. Avolashema yasriach chayish, but we do have the problem that it might spoil. Rav Yosef would be concerned about that. Rav lo chayish ador, so Rav would say not a problem, don't worry, and you can take care of the rest at night. So that's one difference between them. Inami yoma de istana. Another difference can be, Rashi says yoma de istana ruach tzefonis, a day when you have the northern wind blowing. Shehi beinonis lochama velotzina. It's a moderate wind. It's not too hot, not too cold. The eastern wind causes a lot of spoilage. So the point basically is that if you have this happening, the moderate wind is blowing, it's not going to spoil. That would not be a concern, but it still would be a concern that it's left out in a bizayon fashion, that it looks like an avela. The Gemara now continues. Rabbi Yishmael ben Oshel Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, Hi Paul Hashem l'ma'aneu my avidle. What does Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, do with the idea that it has to be in an honorable fashion? If he's saying over here that you're allowed to cut it halfway, so he explains Shelo Yotzi es ha'emurin kodem hafshat asor. He says you shouldn't just take out the imur without doing some taking off of the hide. That's where Rashi says kodem hafshat asor ad hachazah. That's what he says. At least do that much. That I agree, but I don't say to take off the entire thing. My timer. What's the reason? Why should you have to take off, tear open at least part of it? Amar Rav Huna Berei Rav Nasan. Rav Huna, the son of Rav Nasan, says mishum nimin, because if you don't do it, if you don't strip it at least in some way, there's going to be hairs on it. That's not going to be nice. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Marukva. Now, Rav Chisda says in the name of Marukva, Maya Hadru Le Chavraya, Rabbi Yishmael ben Oshel Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. So what did the friends of Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, what did they respond to him? He said to do it only on a chazah, and they said do the entire thing. And what was their proof? So the Gemara says, and this is how it ties into our Mishnah, the Gemara says, Hachi Kamri Le. Here was their response of why you should be able to do the entire animal. In Matzilon Tik HaSefer Im HaSefer. Because if we find in our Mishnah that you're allowed to save the container of the Sefer Torah together with the Sefer Torah. In other words, you don't need to, the case of the Sefer Torah can come along, you don't need to just take what's the absolute minimum. So lo nafshet es ha-pesach me'oro, so the same thing should be true by the Korban Pesach. You don't need to do just the exact minimum, cut exactly what you need. You should be able to strip the entire hide from the Korban Pesach. That was their proof from our Mishnah. So the Gemara says, mi dami, is that really a good comparison? Hasam tiltal. Over there in our Mishnah, it's just an Isser D'Rabbanan of tiltal, of moving something that's muksa. It's not such a strict Isser. Hacha malacha. Here, we're talking about doing a real malacha on Shabbos. Who says we should allow a malacha? So Rashi over here says, "Lo nafshen es ha-pesach b'tmiya." You shouldn't strip the hide off the Korban Pesach. For sure you shouldn't. Mishum tzorach gavoa lo shari tzorach hedyot b'hadei. Because of something that's tzorach gavoa, shouldn't we allow a tzorach hedyot together? Same thing like we do with the Sefer Torah. So the Gemara said it back. Hasam tikul v'mos to kamaisi raya minei tiltal b'yamu. That's just tiltal. It's in a small list of Rabbanan. Hachagabe b'luksayu the Pesach da'ir b'hashta malacha gemura. That's a real malacha. The hafshata me avos malachasi. Hafshata of an animal is one of the avos malachas. So who says we go so far? So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Ashi says, Betarti Pligi. There's actually two separate machloks going on over here. Pligi betiltal or pligi b'malacha. There's a machlokus regarding moving the item and regarding malacha. Rashi says, Betarti Pligi, Gabe Pesach Pligi betiltulo. The machlokus here between Rabbi Yishmael and the Chacham has to do with moving it. To us, Rabbi Yishmael, the taltal ha-Pesach achar shahotzi emurav. Rabbi Yishmael says, just like Rabbi Yishmael is strict in terms of how much you can cut, he's also strict in terms of moving it. He says you can't move it after you've taken out the emurim, even if you want to move it to, let's say, from the sun to the shade. Mishum or the lab bartilul, because the hide is not is really muksa. V'lo dami l'shlochin damrin b'metomnin shematalim asan dahasam or behem agasa dechazi l'mishtechei l'mizgale. He says don't compare it to the earlier Gemara in the Meseches. That was talking about the kind of hide from an animal which you can use that hide for some purpose. It was fit for a purpose. It wasn't muksa. So here they really are arguing about tiltul. Here's what they're actually saying. In Matzilin Tikha Sefer Masefer, if you're allowed to save the case of the Sefer Torah with the Sefer Torah, Lo Nataltel or Agav Basar, shouldn't you be allowed to move the or together with the actual meat? Rashi explains, to Shuval Inyan Tiltal, they were saying a response as far as Tiltal is concerned. Lo Nataltel or Agav Basar, shouldn't you be able to move it? The Havanami Kvot Shamayim, that's also covered. The Basar Dumya the Sefer, because really the meat can be compared to the Sefer Torah. That, of course, you can move from the sun to the shade. And therefore, they're making the same argument, just like you can move. That's really what their argument is. In other words, the argument they're making from our Mishnah has to do with tiltal. It doesn't have to do with malacha. Malacha is dealt with on a different front. We'll continue this discussion on Daf Kufiyat Zayin Amud Aleph in the next video.